Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're diving in and decoding those financial charts that can, let's be honest, look like a totally different language. But by the end of this, you'll get the story they're telling, one candle at a time.
Have you ever pulled up a trading screen and just felt your eyes glaze over? It looks like this chaotic mess of red and green, right? Like you're trying to read some secret code, but you have absolutely no idea where to start.
Well, what if I told you that it's not noise at all? What if every single one of those little bars is telling you a story, a really detailed story about the battle between buyers and sellers, about greed and fear, all playing out right in front of you?
Okay, so let's get right into it. If we want to understand the story of the market, we first have to learn its language. And the most basic building block, the first word you need to know, is the candlestick.
So what is a candlestick, really? At its heart, it's just this incredibly simple, really elegant way to see a ton of information at a glance. For any period of time you choose, whether it's 1 minute or 1 day, it packs in 4 critical prices: the open, the close, the high, and the low.
But here's where it gets really interesting. These candles do so much more than just show you the price. They're like a window into the market's mind. They show you trader sentiment. Are people feeling bullish or bearish? They signal how strong a trend is, and they can even help you spot potential entry and exit points for a trade. To really get how a candle tells us all of this, we've got to look under the hood. We need to break it down into its parts, because every single piece of that candle is telling a different part of the story. So you've got 2 main parts to pay attention to. First is the body. That's the thick, chunky part. Think of this as the main event, the real substance of the story. It shows you the distance between the opening and closing price. Then you have the shadows, sometimes called wicks. These are the thin lines sticking out. They tell you about the drama, the extremes, the moments of panic buying or selling that happened. Now, when you start to read these candles, they're generally sending you one of 2 big messages. The first is a continuation signal, which basically says, hey, the momentum is strong and this trend is probably going to keep on going. The other message is a reversal signal, and that's like a warning sign, telling you that the trend might be running out of steam and could be about to turn around. Traders are always looking for specific patterns formed by these candles, and they can be made up of just 1 candle, or 2, or even 3 working together. And here's a really good rule of thumb. The more candles you have in a pattern, usually the stronger and more reliable that signal is going to be.
Okay, we've now come to what is, without a doubt, the single most important rule in chart reading. If you only remember one thing from this entire explainer, please make it this. I want you to burn this quote into your brain. The location of the pattern is more important than the pattern itself. Why? Because a perfect-looking pattern that shows up in the wrong place on the chart is completely meaningless. Context is everything. You know, think of it this way. You could build the most beautiful, perfect mansion you've ever seen. It has a pool, everything you could want. But if you build it in the middle of a swamp where nobody can get to it, is it worth anything? Of course not. The location makes it worthless. And it's the exact same idea with these candlestick patterns. So before you ever act on a pattern, you have to ask yourself a few questions. Where is this thing appearing? Is it at the end of a really long trend where a reversal is more likely? Is it happening near a critical support or resistance level? The context completely changes what that signal means.
All right, so with that golden rule in mind, that context is king, how do we put all this together? Let's actually look at how the shape of just 1 candle can communicate a message that ranges from a tiny, weak whisper to a loud, confident shout. So for this example, let's look at a few green or bullish candles. We're going to start with the weakest sign that buyers are in control and then build our way up to the strongest, most convincing signal you can get. Okay, so here's our weakest bullish signal. The first thing you should notice is that really long upper shadow or wick. That tells a story of a failed rally. It shows that buyers tried to push the price way up, but then the sellers came in with a lot of force and just slammed it back down. Sure, the buyers might have won the session by a little bit, but that pushback from the sellers is a big warning sign. Now this tells a much more powerful story. See that long shadow on the bottom? That means sellers tried to dump the price, but buyers stepped in aggressively and said, no way. They fought back hard and won. This is so much stronger because it shows that buyers are happy to absorb all that selling and are eager to buy at these lower prices. It's a huge signal of demand. And here it is. This is what absolute conviction looks like. A big, solid body with tiny little shadows, or even no shadows at all.
This means buyers were in complete control from the open to the close. The sellers barely even put up a fight. This isn't a market whisper, this is a full-on shout.
So, before we wrap this up, let's just hammer home the most important takeaways. First, and this is huge, there is no such thing as a 100% win rate pattern. Don't waste your time looking for one. Second, always remember that context is king. Third, learning how to spot false signals so you know when not to trade is just as valuable as knowing when to trade. And finally, use these candles as clues, not commands. They work best when you use them with other tools. So the next time you look at a financial chart, don't just see a jumble of red and green. See it as a conversation. The market is constantly giving you clues, constantly telling you a story about what it wants to do next. The only question is, now that you're starting to understand the language, are you listening?